back in the loft, our fishmonger and owner of Ocean Jewels, Julie Carter. She's going to be joining us again to tell us more about sustainable fishing and giving us a breakdown of the advantages of frozen seafood. Now, as we do continue this warm welcome, we're keeping things cold, very chilly. In fact, sub-zero, frozen temperature when it comes to our seafood today. Before we get into all the different types of seafood that is best frozen, can you just take me through the advantages of having frozen seafood?
Well, I think for me, it's the convenience. You can just take out what you need. It's easy. You can have prawns for dinner, mussels for dinner. Also, cost is important because you just take out what you need. You just defrost exactly what you need for dinner.
Absolutely.
And also, all seafood, if you buy it from a reputable fishmonger or retailer, have been frozen at their best. So, you know, nutrition-wise and quality-wise, you're going to get a good product.
I like that. But, you know, with every pros, there's also cons. There's another side of the coin, essentially. And having to deal with fish, a lot of people want to avoid, number one, making sure that it is fresh the entire time. Sometimes when you throw things in the freezer, it's difficult to tell the freshness of a fish. So we do want to make sure that we are healthy and we're not sick. So what do we need to look out for? So
when you're buying frozen seafood, always check the packaging. Make sure that the packaging's not broken, it's sealed. Then look for signs of that the product has been defrosted and refrozen. So like ice at the bottom of the product, a lot of ice crystals on the product, that will show you that the product's been defrosted or mishandled. So you want to make sure that the fish has been frozen or the seafood's been frozen throughout its journey until it gets to you.
I love the fact here that Julie is saying the process of finding out that your fish is fresh or not starts at the shops. You need to find out if there's those frozen crystals where you can tell that this bad boy is being defrosted and then frozen again. That's something to avoid. Okay, got you. As you are handing out these tips and tricks, then what are some good hygiene practices to remember when handling fish?
So always try and keep fish and other products separate. So if you're preparing veg and meat and fish for the same dish, try and work with your fish separate, your meat separate, and your veg separate. Obviously, keep your hands clean, keep your cutting boards clean. In kitchens, we like to keep different cutting boards for your meat, your fish, and your veg. And I like to do that at home as well. You don't want your breadboard to smell like fish. So keep your fish board separate, your bread board separate.
So now that you're touching on that and keeping things different, then I'd like to think that even when we do buy things frozen from the store, how do we then maintain the same quality when we freeze them in the house, in our own fridges?
So from store to freezer, don't let your products defrost. Okay, I always keep your products nicely wrapped. Don't leave the boxes open. Yeah. If you open a bag of mussels and you're only using some, seal it correctly. You don't want any air movement over the seafood because that tends to make it fishy. If you're having steaks of fish as well, once you've taken out what you need, wrap it up carefully so that it's sealed. And
like you said, always with the convenience as well, I guess it also is important to make sure that if you are defrosting any seafood, you only defrost what you need, because you don't want a situation where you'd also then defrost and freeze again. Refreeze.
Yeah, I mean, best to defrost in the fridge, but seafood does defrost very nicely in cold water, but very important, cold water, because warm water is going to start cooking the fish.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of tips and tricks you've given us just within the first few minutes of the show. Number one, good hygiene practices are all the way at the top of the list when you are preparing fish. Making sure that you're not re-defrosting, refreezing again. Make sure no cross-contamination on board here, whether it's your chopping board, whether it's your knife. We're making sure that everything is A-OK. And another thing, when you are putting it in the freezer, making sure that it's wrapped correctly. I love that. Noted. But now let's put that advice quite practically to the test. You've got a beautiful spread. I think every time we have Julie, she comes definitely with a whole lot of fish. So do you want to just talk us through these frozen fish that's in front of us? And then also I want to learn how to clean and debone, essentially, deshell a prawn. Debone a prawn.
Sure. Okay, so we've got the silverfish here, which is defrosted. It's a nice green option. On here we've got a seafood mix. So we've got mussels, fish, calamaris, and crab sticks. And then we have our half-shell local mussels over here. And the pink prawns, which are wild caught, pink prawns. Prawns actually are on the orange list, but this wild-caught pink prawn, the fishery is under improvement. So we're hoping that this particular prawn will be on the green list soon.
Beautiful. Well, Chef, as you do go into that demonstration for us and just showing us the proper way to handle a prawn, I also want to just touch base on, you can go ahead.
Okay.
I just want to also touch base on the fact that we did discuss the SASSY list of sustainability, but for some of our viewers who might have missed our episode on Tuesday, can you just briefly describe the different lists, the 3 different lists, and what they stand for?
So SASSY have divided all the seafood and fish that we eat into 3 categories: green, orange, and red. Green being sustainable, orange being not great, so beware, don't eat it too often. So the prawns you should have for special occasions. And then the red listed species are no eating. So like the galjoen is red listed, so you wouldn't eat it.
Beautiful. And as you are already taking apart that prawn, we've understood that prawns are on the orange, so be cautious, be careful. Not only should you be careful when you're trading it, but you also need to be careful in cleaning it. So can you just give us a breakdown of what you've done?
Sure, I just cut it down the back of the shell like this and opened it up and pulled out this little thing, and then you can give it a rinse.
So we don't want that. Is that like a membrane, almost like an intestine?
Yeah, it's like an intestine. So the wild prawns need more cleaning. If you buy farmed prawns, they hardly need any cleaning, but the wild prawns are pretty prawny, and you'll have to clean and rinse out the back end.
Perfect. Chef, whilst you are rinsing that out, Dumi, I want to find out from you. We do love things, you go ahead over.
Cool.
We do love things sustainably sourced here. We do want to make sure that the environment is well taken care of. But on the flip side, we've got technology doing something amazing for us. Here it is within the freezing of the fish. So for yourself, how beneficial has the turn of technology, I suppose, had on cooking and food?
It really has, because most times you find that you use so much energy as a person just trying to prepare your food, just trying to make sure your food stays as fresh as possible. So knowing that there are things like, you know, like freezers that are there for us, because before we couldn't do that. You know, having the ability to prepare our foods in ways that are easier. We've got microwaves now. We've got contraptions that you can use in the kitchen that makes it easier to do the work. So just the convenience, I guess, of it.
I love that. Well, we do have a lot of fishy treats on the menu for you today. So just head over to afternoonexpress.co.za if you want to get anything that we're going to be preparing today. Now on social media, this is the question we have for you. Today is all about fish. So what makes you the perfect catch? Make sure you use the hashtag AfternoonExpress in all of your comments. Now, seafood is elevated when you add a little zinc. So coming up, we're going to be making peri-peri prawn pasta.